Hey, it's Tom Karadza here with another Rockstar Real Estate Minute. And here's something that we see over and over again. It has to do with real estate lawyers. A lot of people will use a lawyer when they buy or sell a property, and they'll use just kind of any lawyer, a lawyer who maybe specializes in something other than real estate, and they classify them as a lawyer, so they think they're good enough to do the job. And likely they are. There's very good lawyers around, and they can close a real estate deal. It's not that complicated. But from our opinion, it's always best to get a lawyer who specializes in real estate. And here's why. If any issues come up at the closing or on the closing date, so for example, say the seller was supposed to fix a roof or fix some plumbing or do something in the property, and you find out that that wasn't done on the day of closing, you want a real estate lawyer because they're really good at hopping on the phone. They're typically in their office, unlike other lawyers who maybe are out or in a courtroom and not available on the day of closing. A real estate lawyer is typically in the office on the day of closing. They can hop on the phone and call the lawyer that's representing the seller and figure out some of those issues and negotiate some compromise or make sure their work gets done. What we've seen with lawyers who don't specialize in real estate, often on the closing day, they're not in the office. Their staff is kind of doing the paperwork for the closing. And if an issue pops up, it can be really challenging to get the lawyers communicating because your lawyer is on the road somewhere or in a courtroom somewhere, and he's not available to talk to the other lawyer, and the closing gets hung up. So it makes things really difficult. Recently we had a case where a buyer used a non-real estate kind of lawyer, and they had trouble with their financing on the day of closing. And instead of negotiating a week or 2 week extension, which is appropriate in those types of situations, this lawyer thought 2 or 3 days was appropriate. Well, the bank needed longer than that to fix this particular buyer's financing. So what happened is the seller got frustrated and actually managed to sell the house to somebody else. So the buyer's left in a position now where they're trying to get their deposit back, and it's going to be awkward. They'll likely get it back, but they're probably going to have to fight for it, so that money's going to be tied up for a little while. And it's all because that lawyer just didn't negotiate enough days to settle the financing. And that's something a real estate lawyer would know, but perhaps another lawyer who isn't in that position a lot didn't understand that 2 or 3 days isn't enough for a bank to adjust their financing. They need a week or 2 weeks. So if you have the choice, use a real estate lawyer. And sometimes people will use a non-real estate lawyer because maybe they'll get a closing for $800. A good real estate lawyer might charge $1,200, maybe even all the way up to $1,600 to do the transaction. But that $400 or $500 extra that you spend on a $300,000 property, $500,000 property, $1 million property can save you tens of thousands of dollars in frustration. So always get a good professional. Our advice would be to find a lawyer who specializes in real estate and go down that route. Don't try and save the $200 or $300 and kind of go with a regular lawyer. So hopefully you find that useful. Until next time, your life, your terms.